Hey guys, before we get started, I just wanted to say that we have a gaming channel and an anime channel, Mystical Gaming and Mystic Sage. If you like gaming, go check out Mystical Gaming, and go check out Mystic Sage if you like anime content. Links will be in the description below and in the iCards above. Worst team for black and white already? God, we've been moving really fast. I can't believe we're already in Unova. It's absolute madness. Black and white has some really interesting mons to pick from. When I mean interesting, I'm naturally talking about how the only Pokemon you have access to are the Unova ones. Due to that, we like a lot of horrible Pokemon. But I think the Pokemon on this list are still considered to be some of the worst Pokemon in Unova, and a couple even of all time. Some Pokemon I wanted to include in the team, but unfortunately they were way too late game for my taste. Still though, these earlier Pokemon are pretty trash though. So we will just have to see how they really stack up on this worst team. Speaking of the worst teams, let me explain what it is, and then we can get into what the actual team is itself. Essentially, the worst team is a team of the worst Pokemon in the region of Unova. It's not going to have 6 Magikarp or anything like that. It'll be a team that is bad, but can still have a shot at actually beating the games. It'll give you a challenge, but it won't be impossible to beat by any means. If it's a pain in the butt, then good. That's the point. I did well with creating the team. As always, I will be providing a moveset for these Pokemon that include TM moves, but will not include post-game tutor moves or egg moves. As always, we'll go over a list of important battles that these Pokemon could try their best against. Those important battles consist of all the gym leaders, Elite Four members, champion, rival, and the evil team leaders. Now for this particular worst team for Unova, it will only be taking place in Pokemon Black and White. There will be a separate team leader for Pokemon Black and White too. Like always in a worst team series, we're going to be ditching the starters. Yes, even with how not so great the Unova starters are, there are worse options across Unova. Our rival, however, does need a starter, so the starter we're going to pick for him is Snivy. So we will be picking Oshawott and boxing it away straight after. There is also another reasoning as to why I'm choosing Oshawott, which you guys will see later on. Okay, now with all that stuff out of the way, let's hop into the worst team for black and white. I think at this point you all know, as worst team tradition, we pick up that really bad rodent Pokemon, Route 1 dumpster fire Pokemon. This time around, we of course have Watchog, and let me tell you, this Pokemon is the worst of the trash piles. Design, movesets, stats, you name it. This is the worst of the Route 1 pokes. Pokemon like Raticate at least can put a dent in things sometimes, but this thing, that ain't it, chief. Surprisingly though, it is still a normal type, so it does have some decent coverage, but there are other normal Pokemon who have better options. So it's not the best normal type, but it's still a normal type, so it can still be useful in some regard. But yeah, I don't like Watchog. I would never recommend using it, unless it's for the worst team for Unova. Other than that, don't ever use it. Going into the moveset on Watchog, I tried my best, so don't get mad at me. Get mad at it for being bad. Okay, so I may have lied. The moveset actually isn't bad. Crunch, Strength/Return, Focus Blast, and Thunderbolt. Crunch is great for coverage, and that can be learned at level 16 as a Patrat. Dark types on normal mons are always great to have because of ghost type Pokemon. The next move is either Strength or Return depending on what you're looking for, HM usage or more power. Either or are fine. Strength can be given to you by an Ace Trainer in the Pokemon Center in Nimbasa City. Funny enough, Return can be found from Nimbasa City in the Pokemon Center as well, from one of the people who sells it. Focus Blast can be found in Wellspring Cave, and that's great for other normal types and for rock types and steel type walls. Lastly, we got Thunderbolt. I saw it in the TM selection and thought, this looks like pretty good coverage. That can be found in the P2 lab. With these moves, Watchog can try its best against Bryson's team with Focus Blast, Bianca's Statland and Musharna, Churn's and Pheasant, Simipour, and Liepard, Chantel's entire team, Grimsley's entire team, Caitlin's entire team, En's entire team aside from Zekrom or Reshiram, and finally gets his Cofagrigus, Bouffalant, Bisharp, and Hydreigon. Watchog is not good, but I will say it can certainly put up a fight as best as it can in the late game, and sometimes it's all you can ask for in these worst teams, to try and do your best. Coming up next on this team is kind of our starter Pokemon, I guess. I mean, it is a fire Pokemon and isn't a trio, so I guess that counts. Not to mention, this Pokemon is the most hated Pokemon in Japan. Can you guess yet? It's Simisear. Pansear can be found in the Dream Yard right before Silent's Gym. Remember to pick Oshawott to get this Pokemon. This Pokemon is just no. It also evolves via Firestone. I will leave a video in the description of where to get that. I don't even want to sit here and talk about it long. I think people know about how bad it is. And the Elemental Monkeys are just not great in general. But it is a worse team, so it's perfect. I can smack talk it. Stat-wise, it doesn't look that bad, but the move pool is awful. It doesn't even get Flamethrower. Well, it does, but it's post-game. The best move you get is in Incinerate, which is 70 power. I mean, that's not bad, but still, it's still just degrading. But yeah, I don't think anyone can object to this Garbo pile being on the team. So let's move on to its moveset. Okay, so for its moveset, we have Flame Burst, Focus Blast / Brick Break, Shadow Claw, and Grass Knot. Flame Burst is the best move it can learn, and that can be learned at level 10. Focus Blast can once again be found in Wellspring Cave. Brick Break can be found in the Icarus Pokemon Center from an old lady. Focus Blast is more powerful, but if you like accuracy, Brick Break is for you. These are also great for coverage, yada yada yada. Shadow Claw is nice for general coverage. The team for that can be found in Celestial Tower. Lastly, we have Grass Knot, and that's here for water coverage. The team for that can be found in Pinwheel Forest after Lenora is defeated. With these moves, this team can test its might against Silence Pansage, Berg's Whirlipede, and Leavanny. Clay's team with Grass Knot, but it's pretty risky with those ground, water, and rock type moves. Bryson's team, Bianca Statland, Simisage, and Musharna. Charon's Simipour, Liepard, and Superior, just watch out for Scald. Chantel's team, just be careful with those water and ground moves. Grimsley's entire team, watch out for Earthquake. Caitlin's team, ends Caracosta, Vanillix, Zoroark, and Klinklang. And finally, Gets' entire team except Electros. As I have to say it all the time, I'll say it again. I don't like the elemental monkeys. With that said, it's not as useless as I thought it would be. However, it's still not good. So don't get your hopes up of this thing making your journey significantly easier, because it's not going to do that for you. Oh my god. Next up at the dump is Unpheasant. This Pokemon is awful. I wish there was a dump at Route 3 because that's where you're going to find it. I mean, it's also a pigeon too, so kind of makes sense. I'm not even talking about its design though or anything like that. Its design is actually okay. The stats are in the wrong place though. Why have a Pokemon with great physical attack have access to only special attacks? The best attack it can get is Aerial Ace. It's only 60 base power. But Sky Attack can fly! 2-turn moves are awful in Pokemon unless you have a Power Herb. But we don't have that, and that can only be used once. This isn't competitive. The move pool is also very limited. It's bad and is the worst flyer in these games. I don't need to explain more. For this Vermin's moveset, we have Fly, Return, Aerial Ace, and Workup. Fly is here because convenience and we need to get to places faster. Return can be found in the Nimbasa Pokemon Center, and that's the most powerful attack it can get in my opinion. Aerial Ace is the best flying move Unpheasant can get, and the team for that can be found on the Mistralton Runway. Workup can be useful for powering up Unpheasant and making it even more effective. The team for that is given to you after you defeat Silon. With these moves, this rodent with wings can attempt a takedown, Berg's Whirlipede and Leavanny, Bianca Simisage and Emboar, Charon's Superior, Marshall's team, and finally Grimsley's Scrafty. Do you see why I hate this thing? Can you understand my pain now? It's completely useless that it will only be able to be used adequately in 5 fights. And with such a small selection of physical stab moves, let alone any form of coverage moves, I think it's safe to say that Unpheasant is the worst Pokemon to ever grace a worst team and probably will remain the worst forever. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go cry. And I'll have to go cry even more because a lot of these early moves it gets are special flying type attacks. I'm done. Next up, we have another cursed Pokemon on this team, being another elemental monkey. This time we have Simipour, the better of the trio in my opinion. Now y'all may be scratching your heads for a couple reasons. Why on earth is he using a second elemental monkey? Wait, didn't he use this on the Superior team? Well, I'll explain. Because of how limited our options are in Unova, we find a little bit of an overlap. With the available Pokemon as well as not being able to use our starter, we don't have much in terms of water type options. Now sure, there are some Pokemon that are always objectively worse compared to another, but what's important is the role it plays on a team and what Pokemon make up the rest of the team. Sure, we could have used Seismitoad on the best team for Superior, but it was a little redundant to have because we already had a Crocodile. Here you could say we could have used Caracosta instead, but I felt it might be able to do a bit more damage with the moves it had. It would make the game a bit easier, and we can't have that. But feel free to let me know in the comment section if you think I'm wrong. At the moment though, I stand by this, so please don't be too harsh on me. Anyways, Panpour is found in Pinwheel Forest at level 15, and will later evolve into Simipour with Waterstone. You can get one of those in Castelia City from a scientist at Thumb Pier. Now hang on, Mr. Commenter. I ain't done yet. For those of you guys that are typing, what about Basculin? It's way too late game, Chief. And Swan is too good too. Moving on to its moveset, Simipour will have Surf, Blizzard, Grass Knot, and Acrobatics. Until you get Surf, you'll just want to use Simipour's early water moves. It won't be until you beat Charon at Twist Mountain that you receive Surf. Next is Blizzard, one of the most important moves on this entire team, let alone just Simipour. That move's TM can be purchased at the Icarus City Pokemon Center. Unfortunately, Ice Beam is post-game, so Blizzard is the best we can do in terms of taking out the mini dragon Pokemon in Unova. Next is Grass Knot, which is just here as a nice coverage move for Simipour. You can get this TM from Pinwheel Forest after you take on Lenora's gym. And finally, we have Acrobatics. This move is simply here because why Why not take advantage of a powerful 110 base power move? Since whenever you use items on these teams, why not? This team is given to you by Skyla when she beat her gym. With this arsenal of moves, Simipour can do semi-decent against Berg's Dwebble, Clay's team, Drayden or Iris's team, Bianca Simisage and Embor, Charon Simipour and Superior, just be careful of those grass moves, Chantel's Jellicent, Golurk and Chandelure, but be careful of Energy Ball, Marshall's team with Acrobatics, Grimsley's Scrafty and Crocodile, Caitlyn's Sigilith, and Zekrom in black, Caracosta and Archeops, and finally Ghetsis' Seismitoad and Hydreigon. Overall, this elemental monkey doesn't do too horrible as it pretty much is our only line of defense against the dragon types in this region. But even then, you still can't get too comfortable with that line of thinking. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself blocking out and having to redo a lot of battles. Starting off the second half of this list, E.T. Stonehome, we have Crustle. See, because it's the Stonehome Pokemon. It's funny, dang it. Anyways, we get this bug crab monster as a Dwebble in the Desert Resort. It'll eventually evolve into Crustle level 34, so it won't be horribly far off from when you capture it. I've never really paid attention to Crustle, but I definitely believe it isn't any best team material. Sure, it has decent few stats like its attack and defense, but everything else is subpar, especially that speed. With that being said though, I think it should do decent, so let's just hop into its moveset. For Crustle, the final moves that we'll utilize are Rock Slide, Bulldoze, X-Scissor, and Shell Smash. Rock Slide will be the most solid move it can get, and that can be learned to level 29 on Dwebble. Just use Smackdown until then. Next is one of the most important moves being Bulldoze. Earthquake isn't available until post-game, so we have to make do with the second best ground type move in the game. You'll get Bulldoze from Clay after you defeat his gym, so you'll want to use Dig until then. Dig's TM is given to you by a worker in a rest house in Route 4. Next is Crustle's best bug type attack, X-Scissor, which thankfully can be learned to level 38. You'll just want to use Bug Bite until then, but that's not so bad. And lastly, we have Shell Smash. When given the opportunity to buff these best team rejects, I'm going to jump on it. And this is one of the best moves there are. Yeah, your defense is going to go down, but upping speed and attack stats are excellent and will seriously help this team out a lot. That move Shell Smash is learned at level 43. With this moveset, Crustle can struggle bug against Elace's team, Clay's Crocrock and Excadrill, watch out for Rock Slide, Skyla's team, Bryson's team, Bianca's Simisage, Musharna and Embor, Charon's Unpheasant, Liepard and Superior, Chantel's Chandelure, Grimsley's Crocodile, Liepard, and Bisharp, look out for Metal Claw, Caitlyn's entire team, N's entire team in both black and white, and finally gets his Bisharp, Electros, and Hydreigon. Crustle is a real surprise in this team to me. Again, none of these Pokemon are perfect. You're gonna more than likely need to overlevel and stock up on tons of health restoring items. With that being said, Crustle can do very well against a variety of teams and Pokemon, and I would certainly say it's probably the best Pokemon on the Forsaken team. Way to go, Crustle. Lastly, we have one of my favorite grass Pokemon, being Maractus. Maractus is actually one of my favorite grass type Pokemon of all time, actually, in fact, and is actually one of my favorite Generation 5 Pokemon. Maractus can be found in the Desert Resort. I find it super cute, and holding maracas is precious, and yeah, it's adorable. Its move pull, however, is not adorable. It's actually pretty horrible. Also, its speed's very low. This is where Maractus lacks, but flourishes in a worse team. It's got great attacking power, but lacks the coverage moves to truly be an excellent mon. It has a solid grass lineup, but lacks anything for coverage. Basically, it would get burned alive or whatever death analogy you can come up with. So while I do find Maractus super adorable and lovely, I admit that it's awful for an in-game playthrough, even though I've enjoyed using it several times. The last moveset we have to work with is Maractus's, which is super disappointing. We've got Giga Drain, Petal Dance, Growth, and Poison Jab. Yeah, there really isn't much to work with here, but it's the best we can do in such dire straits. Giga Drain is a nice and powerful grass move learned at level 26. Naturally, just use any other grass moves until then. Next, we have another level up move being Petal Dance, which is learned to level 38. Honestly, we don't have much to work with, so that's why I gave it both Giga Drain and Petal Dance. But hey, it can do some serious damage at the very least. Next is a move it should already have in itself, Growth. We have this here just to buff it a little bit if needed. And finally, we have the only TM on this moveset being Poison Jab. This provides a little bit of extra coverage. Emphasis on little because it doesn't do a whole lot. But hey, it's better than another grass type attack. This TM can be found above one of the bridges on Route 6, which of course requires Surf. And finally, with this moveset, Maractus does its best against Clay's Crocrock and Palpitoad, Bianca Simisage, Charon Simipour and Superior, Chantel's Jellicent and Golurk, Grimsley's Crocodile, N's Caracosta, and finally gets his Seismitoad. Oh no, I really hate to say this. As much as I love Maractus, it just sucks badly. And I might even have to take back what I said about Unpheasant earlier. Maractus just might be the worst member on this team, and it pains me to say that. I'm for real gonna cry now, dude. Let's just hurry up and get to the outro. I'm just hurt and broken. Well, that wraps up the worst team for Unova. Honestly, I think this might be the worst team yet. Black and White introduced us to a lot of solid and decent Pokemon. However, that makes situations like these, a madman making the worst team possible, all the more challenging. I mean, I had to resort to having a Maractus and coming to terms with how bad it was to use. I'm still not feeling good about that, by the way. Anyways, the team did what it set out to do. Have the worst Pokemon possible that still have somewhat of a shot at beating the games. I will say, once I get around to the Black and White 2 team, I think that one will be a lot more interesting to make. What do you guys think though? Was this the worst team I could have possibly made, or do you have other Pokemon in mind? Definitely let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Want to support me further in Game Call Perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Austin Lega, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, and Enigma97 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.